What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about King Harald V of Norway. Now, America does not have royalty, and for a long time, I didn't know that Norway actually had royalty of any kind. So it's very difficult for me to relate to any kind of royalty. But what I do know about King Harald and the royal family in Norway is that they don't have a very hands on involvement with government or politics or any kind of lawmaking or any of that. But King Harald V is very well liked by the public, from what I understand. I actually got to listen to him make a very beautiful speech a while back on YouTube. I watched a speech about King Harald talking about Norway and its unity and diversity and strength. And it was very, very touching. It was very moving. So I like him. I know Norwegians like him. He's very down to earth. That's something about royalty in Norway, right? Is that royalty, the royals are very down to earth, a lot like normal people, approachable, regular. And King Harold, from what I understand, has a very fascinating story. So I found this King Harold V of Norway, the story of Norway's current monarch. And I thought this would be fantastic, fascinating, because I know he has a very interesting life, and he's very well liked. From the dramatic events of his childhood to his love of sailing. That's right! That's right, his love of sailing. I forgot about that. He likes to sail. That is awesome. Here is an introduction to Harald V, the current king of Norway. You may have heard of the reserved yet at times outspoken King Harald V of Norway. Through the years, he's contributed to the modernization of the Norwegian monarchy. Okay, the modernization, increasing the media's access to Norway's royal family. Oh, that's nice. That's just another way to make royalty seem more accessible to normal people, more connected to the normal average Norwegian, is to be transparent and make speeches, let media have access to you. I like that. I like that. Hey, there he is. There's Harold giving a nice speech. Indeed, the King of Norway sometimes gives interviews, something that is unheard of for royals like the Queen of England, for example. Okay, I didn't know that. So royalty in other parts of the world act more closed off and don't like to talk to media as much. So I really like Harold. I really like all of the things I've heard about him, that he's willing to give like interviews and actually talk so people can like know about the king, their king, so Norwegians can know about their king. That's important. Harold is related to the British royal family. That's interesting, actually. Here is the story of King Harold V, a beloved Norwegian king. Yes. He was born on February 21st, 1937. Man, how old is he then? So that'd be like 63 plus 23 is 86. 86 years old and still looks pretty good. Yeah, very cool. Probably all that boating keeping him quite healthy. At the Skagum Estate, a Norwegian royal residence, southwest Oslo. The king at the time was his grandfather, Hakon the Seventh. Okay, so the king before Harold V was his grandfather, Hakon the Seventh. Why did Harold's father ever get to be king? Or maybe we'll get to that. The first king the country got after becoming independent from Sweden. Wow! So Harold, wow, Norway was independent from Sweden only 100 years ago. So it's had a very short list of kings since then. Wow, I didn't know that. This is good history about Norway for me. Hakon the Seventh and Harold the Fifth. Yeah, okay. The King's Harold V's childhood was marked by war, the German invasion, World War II. The royal family had to flee Oslo. Wow, while the king and the crown prince remained in Norway. Harold went to Sweden with his mother. Wow, that's why they said he had kind of a crazy childhood, a very intense, dramatic childhood. There was war. Here's the royal family. Very nice. Very, very nice. Um, okay. Political situation in Sweden was not ideal, since the country was neutral, not eager to provoke the Germans. Okay. Oh, they even planned for the rest of the family to be evacuated to the United States. The evacuation was in August. Oh, Harold spent some of his childhood in Washington, D.C., in America. I didn't even know that. To this day, his accent when speaking English is colored by his early years in the United States. And he stood behind Franklin D. Roosevelt when he was sworn in. What the heck? I didn't know Harold had done all this stuff in America as a child. Wow. Okay, young adulthood. When he was 17, Harold lost his mother to cancer. Named his daughter Martha to honor her memory. Nice. Okay, and that's very sad, as obviously very, very sad. But a good memory, a good honor of his mother's name. At the death of his grandfather, in 1957, Harold became crown prince. He was 20, and he studied at the University of Oslo, the Cavalry Officers Candidate School and Norwegian Military Academy, and the Balliol College in Oxford, where he studied. He actually went to college and university, studied history, economics, politics. Sometimes when I think of like royalty and stuff, I almost think, oh, they're a prince, they're wealthy, they don't have to work or get educated. But Harold definitely is very educated. That's great. Love of sailing. Harold, yeah, this is what I've heard about King Harold V. Harold is an accomplished sailor. Represented Norway in the yachting events in 3 Olympic Games. That is crazy. That is so cool. He was an Olympic contender. At age 79, participated in the Sierra Cup in Lake Ontario in Toronto, where his team got second. Oh my gosh, that is ridiculous. Controversial marriage. His relationship with Queen Sonia was initially controversial. The couple courted for 9 years before getting married. The reason for controversy was the fact that Sonia, who's now the queen, I understand, was a commoner. For King Olav, this meant she was off bounds. Oh. Harold ended up marrying a commoner who became queen. That makes for a very good story. Royals are, or at the time, were expected to marry other royals, right? Or at least someone from nobility, right? But Harold was in love. Wow. Wow. That's a good story. And reputedly told his father if he was not allowed to marry Sonia, he would never marry. Oh, wow. How romantic of Harold. Wow, that's cool. That's very interesting. That would mean the end of the royal line. So Olav finally relented. So that's who King Harold's father was, King Olav. The couple was allowed to marry, and seeing how the pair stuck together over the decades, it's difficult to imagine the story any other way. Wow, that is cool. Ascension to the throne. Harold's father, Olav V, died in 1991, and Harold became the new king. 1991, that's only like 31, 32 years. Harold has been king. Okay, so he was crown prince for a long time. Okay, okay. Harald V, the first Norwegian monarch to be born in Norway since Olav died. Okay. He decided to continue the tradition of the royal benediction started by his father. This means that in lieu of a fully fledged coronation, a simpler benediction ceremony is held to mark the new monarch's ascension to the throne. So Harold insisted on not having a big fancy extravagant coronation ceremony like most royalty would want. Harold wanted something more simple and humble. Yeah, I like it. I like Harold. That's some of the changes he made to modernize the monarchy, I think. Republican sentiment in Norway. Discussions about the wisdom of having an unelected king as head of state have been ongoing since Norway became independent. These opponents of the monarchy are usually called Republicans because they want to see Norway become a republic with an elected president. Well, so now, right now, Norway is still has a monarchy, and the king is not elected. So that's what it is. Although, for not being elected, I feel like everyone loves Harald, including me. um, okay, not the monarchy is still hugely popular among people. A survey in 2017 showed that 80% of Norwegians were in favor of it. Well, the monarchs don't really have any political power, right? It's mostly just they're representing Norway. So it's not that big a deal if there's a monarchy as well. The main argument against monarchy is that political power shouldn't be inherited. Right, that's true. And the monarchy is expensive, that's true. You have to have responsible monarchs for it to work at all. The argument for monarchy. Norway is a constitutional monarchy. That means that while the monarch holds executive power on paper, he or she cannot exercise the power. Exactly. It's exactly. The monarchs can't even use their power. So it's more of just a symbol of Norway at this point, which is kind of cool, honestly. Why have a king at all? Having an unelected leader can be practical. So, there's an example of when it became clear Norway could not withstand the Nazi Germany. The Nazi regime asked him to appoint their puppet. The king doing so would have provided legitimacy to the German occupants. Not only did the king refuse, but he was also invested of all powers by the Norwegian parliament. He would exercise these powers in exile, ensuring the continuity of a legitimate constitutional Norwegian government. So they could just, they couldn't really make the king install like a Nazi German puppet using the king. So that's why it was nice to have, they only had access to the Norwegian king. Okay. It's easy to see that investing a politician with all powers would have been more difficult. The king, as a neutral, apolitical figure, was the perfect person to personify the Norwegian government in exile during the occupation. Yeah, okay, so it was a practical purpose. Okay. Political opinions. As mentioned previously, the king exercises no political power. Traditionally expresses no political opinions. That did not prevent him from delighting his audience during a speech in 2016 by voicing support for refugees, religious tolerance, and LGBT rights. I think that's the speech I saw in 2016. It was a beautiful, amazing speech, a very famous speech by Harald V, and I did get to react to that. That was amazing. The king did this by providing his own description of who Norwegians were. Yes. Support for religious tolerance. Yeah. That's what it seems like King Harald is kind of really widely loved and respected by Norwegians. Is he doesn't like have any real political power, so he doesn't actually get to do too much in the way of changing laws, but he does a very, very, very good job of doing exactly what a monarch should do to represent the country of Norway in the best way possible. And he's very relatable and down to earth and does yachting and boating, and he's just seems like a super normal, nice guy who happens to be the king of Norway. And so I think that's why I like him so much and why people like him so much. Super interesting. Like, America doesn't have a monarchy, king or queen or anything like that. So it's very interesting for me to learn about that kind of thing, especially in Norway, where it seems like if you're gonna have a monarchy, Norway has like one of the most ideal monarchies, how you do it, and one of like the best kings ever, I gotta say. So that's pretty cool. I really enjoyed learning about this. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Norway, Norwegian culture, stuff in Norway I've never seen or learned, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thank you for watching, and see you next time.